Anime begins in Yokohama City, where an enormous kaiju suddenly appears, so the government sound the alarm ordering the citizens to evacuate. It starts destroying the city, and everyone watches the news as a helicopter starts blasting the monster. But it doesn't do anything, so everyone starts to get worried. But an elite unit known as the 3rd Division arrives to fight the kaiju, and their captain Mina fires laser gun, killing the kaiju with a single shot. Everyone celebrates the victory, thinking the 3rd Division is amazing because they were able to defeat the kaiju without any casualties. A team arrives to clean up the mess, and we meet a man named Hibino. As he collects a sample for the researchers, he sees his teammates lifting one of the kaiju organs, but he warns them to be careful. And it suddenly explodes. The blood burns one of his companions, so he helps the man, telling him he's going to be fine. Hibino realizes that the kaiju is massive, so it's going to take ages for them to remove it, and the supervisor orders him to remove the intestines. He doesn't want to do it because it's a disgusting task, but the supervisor tells him he has no choice, and his colleagues wish him luck, knowing the intestines are filled with the kaiju poop. He throws up upon seeing the intestines, but he knows he needs to do his job, so he cuts through it anyway. Hibino returns home, but he can still smell the kaiju's poop, and he watches the news, realizing that everyone is praising Mina because she has defeated hundreds of kaiju at such a young age. We learned that she's his childhood friend, and he wanted to exterminate kaijus with her, but he's nowhere near her level, so he becomes depressed, wondering how he ended up in his position, but he decides not to think about it, knowing he's helping society by cleaning up the kaiju remains. The next day, he reports to his office where he meets his new coworker named Reno, but he says that he plans to join the defense force. Another man named Takuda tells him that Kafka used to have the same dream, but he gave up on it, so Reno thinks he's pathetic, asking him why he gave up. But he explains that he did his best, and he still wasn't accepted into the defense force. Reno doesn't want to end up like him, so he mentions that he will never give up, and he leaves the room as Hibino realizes that he sounds like a loser. They return to the kaiju, and Reno is assigned to the intestines, so Hibino celebrates, thinking Reno is about to get what he deserves, but the supervisor tells Hibino to work with Reno. So he becomes upset, wondering why he always gets the dirtiest jobs, but the supervisor notes that he has grit, thinking he would have done well in the defense force if he passed the test. During their break, Hibino realizes that Reno has lost his appetite, so he gives him a vitamin pack, telling him to drink it so he doesn't pass out. Hibino adds that he needs to plug his nose, saying he needs to do it to survive, but he refuses, so he forces him to do it, and they start working together as Hibino helps Reno with his job. Later that day, everyone prepares to go home, but Reno approaches Hibino, thanking him for his help. He can't believe Reno is doing this, and he tells Hibino that it's not too late to join the defense force because they've raised the age limit for applicants. Reno knows he isn't happy with his life because he looked sad when he talked about giving up, and Reno tells him to do whatever he wants, but he thanks Reno for giving him hope, realizing that Reno is a good person. But at that moment, a kaiju suddenly appears, and it's about to eat him. But Hibino grabs him, and they manage to survive. Hibino tells him to escape and call for reinforcements once he's safe, but he refuses to leave, so Hibino reminds him about his dream, saying he can't join the defense force if he doesn't survive, so he runs away, and Hibino calls the kaiju, so it starts chasing after him, trying to eat him. But he enters a building and jumps out a window. In a flashback, we see Mina crying, so Hibino approaches her, trying to cheer her up. She explained me that she's sad because her cat died, and they stare at the ruins of their city as they mention that they're going to join the defense force, but he thinks she doesn't have what it takes, and he tells her that he's going to become a better defense force officer, saying they will exterminate the kaiju together. But we return to the present as the kaiju continues to pursue Kafka, who realizes that he can't escape, so he prepares to fight it, but it crushes his leg, and it's about to eat him. But Reno returns, and he wonders why Reno is doing this, so he explains that he'll never make it in the defense force if he can't even save his colleagues, so Hibino realizes he's pathetic, knowing he can't protect anyone. So he doesn't have what it takes to enter the defense force. The kaiju is about to kill them, but a tiger suddenly stops it as the soldiers open fire. and they blow it to pieces. Mina reports that the target has been destroyed, and she tells her men to follow her, saying they need to check if there are more kaiju in the area. That evening we see Kafka in a hospital realizing that Mina is amazing, and he thinks he'll never reach her level, but Reno knows that he wouldn't be alive if Hibino didn't save him. Thinking Hibino is amazing, so he needs to consider joining the defense force. He thanks Reno for making him feel better, saying he has decided to apply to the defense force. But he suddenly sees a strange creature, which tells him that it's looking for him, and it suddenly dives into his mouth, causing him to struggle. Reno notices this, so he asks Keitha if he okay, but Reno is shocked when he sees him. Hibino looks in the mirror, realizing he has turned into a monster, so they both panic, but Hibino explains that he still has control over his body, and another patient sees them, so he calls for help, and they know that Hibino is about to get hunted down, so they decide to run away. Episode ends here.